Pacific Heights.
Pacific Heights. Okay.
And Eugene, tell me a little bit about what's your role? Where?
Oh, now we got two Eugenes.
Okay.
Bonus.
Okay, I'm a little bit new to all this stuff here, so I hope I'm not
Well,
going
you
to,
only need to, you should only be one person. I think it would make it more difficult for your speech and the video. There you go.
There
Thank
we
you.
go.
for that.
It's back to one.
Yeah, you're back to one. That's good.
yeah, because I don't know what I'm doing. I thought I was, what? Stop video participants.
You're back to one. You're okay. Just back
Okay,
off.
I'm going to
You're
need
good.
to share screen because I have.
Yeah, you have the ability to share screen. Hi, Al. How are you? Nice to have you here.
Great.
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you.
I'm at a good volume. I was a little bit too loud or too quiet last time.
You were, weren't you?
Yeah,
Hey, you got a haircut.
it was free.
I always tell them I should only pay half.
Yeah, the barber was a little weird, but you know, it
Blue, and I'm going to
was me.
evening.
So we have a couple of members, Al, that are not going to be here. Charles, Cindy, and Mary Harris.
Yeah, I saw the email.
Okay. That being said, this is an opportunity for Eugene to be able to practice his presentation, maybe. It looks like he's gone. I hope he comes back. Anyone going out of town for Thanksgiving?
Well, I'm going to Folsom.
I'm going to San Jose. I hope it's not going to be too crowded. Boy, I bet it'd be 5 o'clock. I bet it's really going to be crowded. I better leave. I better leave at 3 in the afternoon.
Yeah, they said the time to drive is tonight after 9 p.m.
Well,
But they said on the news.
that's not going to work.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have to go anywhere. I'm having 14 for dinner.
Oh my gosh. Wow. That's great. 14. I take it you're having turkey.
Yes, actually, of course. It's the one holiday that I relent and serve turkey.
Yeah,
I'm not a big fan.
you're not? I
You know, I
love
think that's because growing up, the aunt that did Thanksgiving, she couldn't cook very well, and so eating her turkey was like chewing sawdust.
Oh, she overcooked it then, I suspect, huh?
To the point where it was literally dry, like you're trying to digest sawdust. It was really bad.
Well, couldn't anybody help her? I have a dear friend who cooks salmon that way. I mean, you could use it for shoe leather, you know.
Oh yeah, that's so good. Yeah. No, in the Midwest, there were not that many really good cooks. My mother and this aunt were always trying to see who could be the worst cook, I think.
Oh, is that right? Yeah. It's a
Yeah.
competition.
There's a competition who could come up with the worst thing to have. And oh my God, the concoctions that get served at family dinners. Oh yeah.
All that being said, I think we're able to start our meeting. Eugene, would you be kind enough to introduce yourself and begin your program, please? Eugene.
Fine. Thanks, Glenn. First of all, thank you all for the invitation to address you. I was hoping there'd be a few more members, but I'm happy though to share my ideas with as many people as possible. I'm Eugene Liu. I'm an architect, and I'm the author of a new housing concept, which I call Domicity. I'd like to start by saying, that it's a totally independent effort. I'm not supported by any city organization or any developers or anyone whatsoever. Indeed, the reason I got involved in trying to develop a new housing concept, though, is because the city and the developers have failed us, have failed our communities, though, in solving the housing problem. In fact, I believe, they don't really have really a great deal of interest in what the needs of neighborhoods are. So my intentions as an architect then have always been, though, to try to improve life. I design workplaces, and I've designed places where people live, with always the intention, though, of bringing quality into the project. So that's what I'm going to be stressing today. Our neighborhoods were never designed for pedestrians. In fact, most of our neighborhoods, though, are car-oriented. And we need now neighborhoods, though, that are walkable and more oriented to people. One of the things that I found in talking to various neighborhood groups, though, is that we have a lot of senior citizens, though, and they have needs, though, that are not addressed either by the city or the marketplace. People have told me, though, that they'd like to downsize into smaller, more manageable units. Others have told me, though, that they'd like to monetize their appreciated value. Some are house rich and cash poor, but they'd like to stay in their neighborhood. I mean, they can always sell and move to Florida or someplace else, but that's not what they want. They'd like to stay in the city and more importantly, in their neighborhoods, and there just isn't any housing for that. Others have said, that our neighborhoods are growing old and we need to have an infusion of younger people, but there's no housing available for these people. So these are just some of the facts, though, that housing is really needed in our neighborhoods, but there are different kinds of housing. And this is what I find, though, is not being addressed. Developers today are only interested in developing what we now term luxury housing, but housing for the various groups that I've just defined are ignored. So that's what I'd like to talk about. I've created a short slide presentation to show and explain what this idea is. But before I get into that, though, I'd like to introduce then the second subject that I wanted to speak to you about. I use the phrase barbarians at the gate. That's how I describe right now what's happening, I think, in San Francisco. Because of the RHNA, which is the Regional Housing Needs Assessment quota, the city is in the predicament of trying to produce 80,000 new housing units in the next decade. And Sacramento is helping them in this endeavor by passing new laws that make it difficult now for local communities to have a say in the housing. I don't think this is right. So one of the things I would hope to share with you then is what might be done now to respond to what I call the barbarians at the gate. I think neighborhoods trying to ameliorate this, though, have not been successful. So let me give you an example of what I call barbarians. Some of you may be familiar with the project out in the Irving Street area. It's called 2550 Irving Street, which is being developed by the TNDC. And the developer out there is proposing a building that is 240 feet long by 7 stories high by 90 feet deep. And the reaction from the neighborhoods, though, is that this is a monster of a building and they don't want it. And they've tried to approach the city and the developers on it, and neither the or Eric Shaw over at the mayor's housing of community on this. And this is what I see, though, is threatening now neighborhoods. The need now to
So forgive me for interrupting you, Eugene. Typically what happens is that the video is
certainly an
interfering. Just a
invasion
second,
stopped.
Eugene.
This is
Forgive me, I'm
structures
talking.
behind.
Oh, okay.
I hear you.
Okay, so we were not hearing you. You know, it is typically what we need to do is turn off your video so that we're able to hear your voice. So that's what I'm recommending you do, so that we're able to hear your voice. That being said, I had to unmute you. I had to mute you because you were, you were talking and I was trying to communicate with you. Now I'm asking you to unmute yourself again and be able to finish your presentation. Thank you.
Okay. Am I heard?
Yes, very good.
Good.
Well done.
Okay, fine. So I was just saying, though, that as an example of barbarians at the gate, though, I was citing the project at 2550 Irving Street. And if you're not familiar with it, though, you Google those numbers and words or TNDC behind it, and you'll find out what that project is and what it looks like and what's now being proposed and built in the city. So when I talk about barbarians, though, we need to understand that the city is financing that project. So we have, again, this alliance now between City Hall and developers, and it's all being pressured by the need to meet the RENA, as they call it, a quota of 80,000 new units. So I have some thoughts, though, on how neighborhoods can respond to that. But first, let me now turn to sharing with you my thoughts and my ideas about housing, which I call domesticity. Glenn, I'd like now to go to share screen. Is that good?
Yes, I believe you are on share screen. I believe you can do that now. You need to.
Okay.
Well done. You did it.
Okay.
Well done.
Let's see how I can. Okay, as I said, though, I call my project domesticity, and it's short for the words domiciles in the city. And I picked that name, though, because I want to emphasize, though, that housing really is about building homes, and domiciles are really homes, and it's another way of talking about urban housing. I also have indicated at the beginning, though, that what I'm about to share you is an independent effort. I've started on this project some 10 years ago, and within the last 5 years, though, I've tried now to interest communities and City Hall, and I've made some progress. And so I'm therefore happy now to be talking with you. So what is domesticity? So let me explain that. In the simple answer, though, it's a multi-story building with 5 stories of homes on the upper floor. It has a podium, and it sits on a single family lot, typical lot, single family lot. And I've shown now a typical block in the lower left-hand corner, subdivided into 24 of these lots on each side of the block. Now, what makes, that's just a description of the physical building, though, but that doesn't get to now what makes domesticity worthy of your attention. The first thing I'd like to bring to your attention, though, is that neighborhoods lack a variety of housing types. and I've already addressed one type that deals with senior citizens, those who are wishing to downsize but not finding any options in their neighborhood, those who would like to monetize their homes, get some of the appreciated value, but still stay in the community. Whoops, I'm getting a message that my internet connection is unstable. So let me know if I'm
Everything's good so
still,
far.
communicating.
It's good so far. Keep going.
Okay,
Next slide.
great. Great, thank you, Glenn. So this building then also contains a podium, which is the orange area that I'm showing, and which is critical now to enhancing life in the neighborhood. And then I've explained the third thing, though, that is built on the site of a single family house, which I'll connect later on, why that's a significant feature. Let me now show you some of the types of housing that we can now build within this standardized building shell. All right, I'm comparing now a proposed domesticity home on the right with an existing townhouse in San Francisco. Quite familiar, I think, on the west side, but townhouses is on a narrow lot, though, is a fairly standard San Francisco housing type. There are two things, though, I'd like to point out about the superiority of a domesticity home laid out in a similar fashion as a standard San Francisco townhouse. The first thing, though, is that there are no stairs. There's no exterior stairs to get into your home, and there are no interior stairs inside the home. Instead, though, I create a core with an elevator and a staircase that's open to a skylight, and with a gentle, easy rise for those who would choose to use the stair. But the elevator is always your first option. The second point, though, is that the and much more amenable to contemporary life and a better use of space. For example, if you can look at the townhouse on the left, and I'll just point out, though, there's this large dining room, and nobody entertains formal dining anymore. The other feature, though, is that a lot of the one of the rooms, though, you have to go through either the master bedroom or the other bedroom to get to. And the master bedroom, which I presume is this one, regardless of which one it is, this bedroom, you have to go through the kitchen. And third, you've got a bathroom, though, that's badly laid out, especially for seniors now. It's dangerous. I've visited some of these houses, and I know how crowded the layout of these bathrooms are. So by building domesticity, though, we now engage a better quality townhouse, similar to the ones that people are living in, but really better in many respects. Okay, let me move on now to another pair of houses. At the other end of the spectrum, we have the need, though, to accommodate senior citizens, and we have a need to accommodate junior citizens. The juniors are the ones that are starting out in life and want to get into the housing market and find nothing of affordability. But let me start with the one on the left, though, of senior housing, and how we would design something, though, for those who wish to downsize. I've created then a plan that accommodates 2 one-bedroom homes on a floor. And I find, though, that it's really helpful for seniors to have one neighbor sharing the same floor with them. Many seniors now live in their large home, and in fact, they're kind of sequestered, and loneliness is a problem. I think with domesticity, though, and with a more walkable community, there will be other options for seniors and the elderly. But first, it starts with having a home that's designed for their needs, and have a home and a home that's on single story with an elevator access is certainly much to be desired. Now, I've emphasized the fact, though, that domesticity, though, one of the features, though, is that I can accommodate different types of homes to suit different household characteristics and needs within a single family lot and within the standard building shell. So I'm showing at the other end of a spectrum what I call a junior home for starter couples, and it's laid out quite differently from the senior home, but it still provides two, excuse me, two one-bedroom homes per floor, and it has a smaller footprint, and it has a different layout with the living room at one end and the bedroom at the other end, which accommodates couples who have independent careers. So we're seeing that now, though, that with domesticity, though, we're able to accommodate at least three types of household now. And let me turn now to a fourth. So within the same framework, right, I'm able to develop a multi-generational home. I've colored in the lower left-hand corner, the grandparents' suite. It has its own living area, bathroom, and closet space. And at the top of the unit, though, I'm showing the family wing with the master bedroom and two bedrooms for children. There are a lot of families, though, that wish they had this type of housing. They could have their parents now take care of the children. They don't have to worry about daycare, and they don't have to worry about latchkey children. And in addition, they don't have to worry about their parents having to live in senior housing at the end of their life. So again, this is the type of housing, though, that the marketplace totally ignores. And with domesticity, though, we can begin to introduce those into neighborhoods. Now, at this point, though, let me stress that everything I'm talking about now is a choice for neighborhoods. I'm an architect, though, and I'm just showing you what can be done and how neighborhoods, how life and neighborhoods can be improved. Let me shift now to the neighborhood itself, though. I've talked now about housing as a key way to improve the quality of life. The neighborhood is the second area, though, that we can now do much to improve the quality of life. In fact, I started off by saying that the neighborhoods of San Francisco, though, were originally designed for the cars. So they never had the kinds of spaces that support a whole range of activities, from local shopping to cafes, to places to meet, to possibly hair salons, to a place to have a square dance on a Friday night, to exercise places, to daycare centers, to a teenage rec center, to bridge and mahjong clubs. Older communities on the East Coast, though, used to have places like fraternal organizations, Elks Clubs, and Independent Order of Odd Fellows and Shriners and things like that. And we had churches, though, with parish halls, though, that some of these activities could take place. But San Francisco neighborhoods lack this kind of facility that makes for an enriched neighborhood life. So I see then that domesticity then can answer this need. So here I'm showing now the podium, what I call the podium plan, the ground floor plan of two types of domesticity buildings. On the left, though, is the standard one that I've showed you that fits on a single lot. Where there's need now for larger spaces, though, we can go to doubling a lot, and then we get different characteristics for community spaces. And I've identified now the kinds of activities probably fall into five broad categories. We need space for community, commercial, cultural, social, and recreational activities. And I'm saying that with domesticity, we have a way now of bringing these in to the neighborhood. San Francisco and the planning department talk a lot about transforming neighborhoods into vibrant, walkable communities. But I haven't seen any plans, any funding, any strategy to make this happen. In the meantime, though, we know that San Francisco is doing much to discourage the use of the car. So what I see then in the future, though, neighborhoods who do not find ways to bring more activities into their communities that are accessible as a pedestrian will be caught between a rock and a hard place. So I'm showing now one way that this can happen. I want to talk now about an interesting aspect that domesticity can bring to the economics of the senior housing. I've talked now about the fact, though, that there are the elderly who are house rich but cash poor. So with domesticity, there is a mechanism, though, where they can sell their house, buy a domesticity unit in their neighborhood, downsize and at a smaller cost, and invest the balance to create a monthly income stream. For seniors, though, they have the added advantage, though, that their tax base will not increase, even though they bought a house that is certainly in its purchase price many times higher than their original home. This is because now for seniors, property tax is portable.
Within the county,
I believe it's
Francisco
within the,
County.
most of the
believe it's
counties have
within the
revoked,
state.
most of the counties
But
have
anyway.
revoked the reciprocal exemptions.
Yeah, there was a proposition passed recently, I think, that extended that.
well,
I
Anyway,
wanna mention- forgive me, hold on, Eugene. I wanted to mention that that Eugene has asked that we ask our questions at the end of the
All right.
or challenges at the end of the presentation, please. Thank you.
yeah, fine, thank you. Well,
And
however
this
it
is
may
a
be,
good
though,
question.
that would be an advantage if it still exists. If not, though, it certainly would be a deterrent in some instances for purchasing any kind of a new home. I'd like now to come to the end of my presentation by pointing out that one of the key features of domesticity is that it's adaptable throughout neighborhoods in San Francisco. And I intentionally designed it to fit on a single family lot because I point out in this map of San Francisco and in the block diagram to its left, which features a typical San Francisco residential block subdivided into slices of single family homes on 25-foot by 120-foot lots, which is the size that I've designed the basic domesticity unit to sit on. So let me come now to the takeaways that I'd like you to take away from this presentation. I'd like to emphasize the fact that I've designed domesticity to improve the quality of life and the quality of neighborhoods. I see that domesticity provides communities with choice and control over the kinds of homes and the kind of neighborhoods that they want. And domesticity provides a mechanism to transform car-oriented neighborhoods into walkable pedestrian neighborhoods. Before I conclude, I'd like to revisit the question of what can we do about the barbarians at the gate? Some may disagree with me, but my assessment is that the invasion of housing in our neighborhoods won't be or can't be stopped. in the questions and answers, though, you can express saying, but what I see is that the city now is under the pressure of meeting their RENA quota of 80,000 new homes in the next decade. They've already addressed the housing needs to the southeast section of the city in the past decade. And so if one looks at the map of San Francisco, and they certainly have built enormous quantities of luxury condos in the downtown South Market area for that marketplace. But for the families, for the teachers, for the nurses, for the young firefighters and police officers, for the medical technicians, and all those that work in service occupations to keep the city running and to keep us safe. There's a housing need, and I think Sacramento is responding to that with a host of new laws passed last year, the SB 9s, 10s, and 35s that are now empowering cities to wrest control from neighborhoods. So in this scenario, what can be done? Well, when I created Domicity, though, I created it not with any thought of that it would have to deal with this kind of problem. I was more interested in quality of housing. But what I find now is that if what I've said about improving the quality of life and improving the quality of neighborhoods makes any sense to you, then I see, though, that Domicity offers an alternative to the barbarians. If they're going to come now with the need to build housing in your neighborhood, you have an alternative, if you like what you see in Domicity, to tell the city that you want to have a say and this is what you want to have built. I think, in today's housing scenario, just putting up an opposition or trying to derail or stop or delay the project may not be the best strategy. I listened to Dennis Richards' talk the other week, and I recognize, though, that he and others have tried numerous ways to stop Sacramento from bringing weight to bear on local communities. They've tried, according to Richards, though, to kill these housing bills in committee, and that hasn't worked. They've tried to sue the state and have been advised that's a losing strategy. They've tried ballot initiatives, which are costly and not always successful. And now what I see seems to be the last desperate gaps is a constitutional amendment. And I call that a desperate gasp because a constitutional amendment will take years to settle. First of all, they have to get it on the ballot next year. And given the fact that he'll be successful, they have to still hope that it will pass. And that some people say it's a 50-50 proposition. But even if it does pass, there'll be legal challenges. And so it'll be years before a constitutional amendment is resolved. I bring that point up, though, because in the meantime, the pressure to build housing is going to happen. And God forbid, though, if it takes a decade, though, without a way to redirect the housing in your community, a lot of neighborhoods will just really be changed in an unrecognizable fashion forever. So I come back now to the idea that although it's not what I had designed Domicity for, I find interesting enough that neighborhoods can be proactive and use it in their negotiation with, they can now tell the city what it is they want. I think that's the only way that you're going to be able to negotiate with the city, that you have to have something that is feasible, that is demonstrably buildable now, in order to engage their attention. I mentioned, though, that some members of the Board of Supervisors have listened to me, and so they're aware of domicity. Before he became planning director, Rich Hillish was a planning commissioner, and I had a chance to engage him in domicity, and he was very much interested in it. So in a sense, though, I've paved the way for you to reach out to the mayor, to the Board of Supervisors, and the planning director. If I had to make a recommendation to you, or like, let me just say just a suggestion. It's late in the game now, so you would want to get into the game by writing a letter to both to the mayor, to the Board of Supervisors, and to the planning director, and let them know that you know about an alternative housing concept called domicity, and get their attention this way. I'd also suggest that you reach out to your fellow organizations like the West of Twin Peaks Central Council, to whom I've also made a presentation of domicity several years ago, and any other neighborhood organizations to do the same, to write letters to the city. My interest in all this, though, has always been to improve the quality of our neighborhoods. And I think a top-down, massive approach that now has to disregard any local input, any consideration of quality, but is just stressing the politics of community and the politics of numbers, is going to be a disaster for San Francisco. Okay, well, I've had my say now, so if you have questions or you want to share your thoughts with me, I welcome it.
Eugene, thank you so much for your presentation. And I must say that since the original one that you presented to me at the coffee shop a year ago, I think there's been a number of wonderful, changes and improvements to your design. That being said, I wanted to mention a couple of things before I open up the questions to the rest of the group. And I know Mari she got her hand raised, good girl. So, Melgar has offered millions of dollars for experimental housing design. And I would hope that you would be, talking to her office about this. Your statement about the 80,000 units to be developed in 10 years cannot be stopped. Well, I know that I am going to be all in with Dennis Richards and his campaign to stop, this type of development. All that being said, I like the idea of domicity for teachers, police, nurses, and firemen. Okay, that's the end of my statement, and I would like Mari, please. Since I really didn't have a question there, I'd like Mari to talk next, please. Al, you're next.
Hi, Eugene. First of all, I want to thank you for the presentation. I was listening while I was cooking. So I wasn't watching, looking at the pictures so much. However, I wanted to clear up a couple of things. Number one, I really like the fact that you have gotten rid of hallways, and you've made it possible to get between the rooms without going through the rooms, which I think is something I've been trying to work on a design myself that did that. So I think that's really good. But I have a couple of things. One of them is I really appreciate the issue that people are dealing with right now with weight. of buildings. And I think that's all over the city, not just downtown. The weight is a big issue. So are you limiting the height of your building to only being able to use the lighter weight, say wooden frame, as opposed to going into concrete structure, particularly for that neighborhood that's built on, well, the neighborhoods that are built on sand dunes? That's question number one. Then I just want to mention two concerns I have. I'm not sure if these are something you dealt with or you're thinking specifically about. There are new products that would alleviate some of the weight. So I assume that, and Tom Soper went over some of that with us when he did his last presentation. So I'm assuming that you are aware of those lighter weight products. The two things I guess that really concern me are, I'd like to see a possibility of having, instead of having interior hallways, have the hallways on the outside, like balconies. If you create a balcony, you've also got an option for what they sometimes call a porch or whatever. But if you have a balcony for your hallway, basically going around the outside, more like the way the motels are built, that makes a little bit of sense to me, to have the, instead of having the hallway in the middle, you've got, you've got windows that open. I don't like to see windows that open for sure. And sun in some of the windows. I know you haven't talked, I don't think I heard you talk about that. But other than that, those are my two comments. And one other thing is I'm very concerned about protecting solar on people's rooftops. So if you don't go over 5 stories, you basically can keep solar for everybody and not have too high of a building that's going to create shadows, everywhere.
Good point, Maury. Thank you so much. Al, you're next.
Yeah, I just, kind of wondering, for something like this to get built, somebody generally, some developer has to make money off it. I'm just wondering, it looks like you're, what the diagram I saw was about 4 stories, maybe 40 feet, which I think is good. But, is there enough money in it for the developers to move forward with this?
Eugene, it's time for you to answer.
He's muted.
Unmute yourself, Eugene. I'm asking him to unmute. Here he goes.
It keeps bouncing back on me. I'm sorry, but I don't know what's happening with my.
Oh, we can hear you
Go
now.
ahead. That's okay. Go ahead now.
Okay, great. Okay, let me address Mary's 2 great questions first then. First, on the issue of weight. When we build up to a 6-story height, Mary, we can continue to use wood frame construction, which is the lightest of all the constructions. Developers, though, like the big projects because they make the most money off of them. And to do that, though, they have to go now to steel construction. They have to go to heavier concrete foundations, just more massive systems all over the place when you're building a 20 or 30-story building. By its very nature, though, a 6-story building is the lightest of all, uses the lightest of all types of construction. Now, with respect to your second question, I love it. Why? I've already designed domicity that occupies 3 lots, and I've put the hallway on the outside, just like you have suggested. So at some time, though, we'll get together and I'll be happy to share that with you. Okay.
Okay,
Fine.
thanks.
Yeah. Okay. Now let me turn to Al's question, which is also a good question. Domesticity is designed to look like a 4-story building, but it's in actuality, Al, a 6-story building. What you saw in my diagram was that I've set back the upper 2 stories. And actually, I have to admit, though, that's at the suggestion of Glenn at our earlier meeting. He said, why don't you look at a scheme that sets back the upper 2 floors? And I said, actually, I've been thinking about that all along. So I've made that now my basic model for domesticity. 4 stories on the frontage and 2 stories set back. Now, 6 stories, and I've worked a number of pro forma scenarios, Al, and so I know it pencils out. So let me share with you that the homework that I've done, because I think going forward, there's always been the question, whether anybody's housing solution, wherever it comes from, is it feasible? Okay, so as an architect, though, I have a responsibility then to represent things though that I've now can represent as feasible. Now, how have I done this? Well, I have the help of one of San Francisco's largest contractors. One of their staff, though, volunteered his time. He's not compensated either by his office or by me, but he believed in what I was trying to do. And that is Joe Ola over at Nibby Brothers. And so he took my drawings, which were accompanied by a outline specification of materials and construction, et cetera, et cetera. And he's able then, and I gave him all the square footages, quantities, heights, and all that. And he came back then with a marvelous detailed cost estimate for me. And it's sobering. It's sobering, but that's only half the battle. Now, does that work in a developer's pro forma? Well, I'm not a developer, but I've reached out now to the community, and Corey Smith over at San Francisco Hack connected me to a young analyst for Emerald Fund. And he was, again, like Joe, willing to give me free time to go over my numbers and help me work out a realistic pro forma. So I breathe a heavy sigh, though, to be able to report, though, that domesticity is feasible. Now, that's before, okay, because I kept some of my powder dry, and I'm going to share some of it with you, right? Hello?
Forgive me, I'm sorry. I'm trying to raise my hand. Go ahead, continue. I'm sorry,
Okay.
Eugene, please continue. I do have a question or comment for you when you're finished.
Yes, okay, but I'm almost through with answering Al's good question on the feasibility of domesticity, and I'm talking about the pro forma that a young analyst for one of the big developers helped me with, though. And I was saying, that I had some hidden powder and that I've kept dry, and that is domesticity was designed to be accommodated in a standard shell. Now, we don't build housing like we used to keep the costs down and the quality up. And so what have I done then? With the standard shell, I've shown you, that we can put all these different types of homes in it. And we have a standard shell, though, we can begin now to reduce the contractor's liability, his overhead, his wastage. We can reduce the architect's cost, the engineer's cost, so we can reduce a lot of front end costs because a lot of things are standardized. Okay, but I did not plug that into the formula for the first go around for domesticity. So it's saying, that as we begin to build more of these, we can begin to bring the costs down and reach a larger number of people. Okay,
I
next
just
question.
wanted to mention that I think, our presentation is almost on an hour. I wanted to make one more statement for you. And this is not a question, but a statement. So if you build a 5 or 6 story structure next to a building that is considering solar panels, I would recommend that you provide solar panels on either the west or south part of domicity to be able to provide solar energy to the person who's being who's being denied solar power because of your shadow cast.
I think that's a terrific idea.
Yeah,
I see no reason, and in fact, I'm aware, that Tesla has developed solar panels, solar tiles, and solar wall panels, right? So they don't always have to go on a sloped roof. They can go on the side of a building, just like you're suggesting. So I'm happy to say, though, I think the technology is already there, and I see no reason why domicity cannot share its walls for solar panels to help neighbors.
I would say that, that would
Good
be
idea.
It would be a very big improvement to your presentation, which is getting better all the time. And Eugene, thank you very much. Are you finished with your presentation?
Yes, I am.
Can I ask a follow-up question?
Sure, please go ahead, Al.
So you're talking about
absolutely.
construction costs, and I noticed that this looks like you have a pretty set pattern, for these buildings. I know there's been a lot of kind of investigation into manufacturing component-based housing. Like there's this company in Alameda, I forget the name of it, where they build a housing off-site and they basically, drop it in. And so instead of building custom products on site, you kind of have scale, economy of scale by building housing in a factory, so to speak. And then have you looked into that at all? Do you think that might be a good idea?
Oh, Al, as a young architectural student, though, back in Cambridge, though, that was all the rage. And as a profession, we've been trying to introduce modular and prefabricated components into housing for decades. The block is in the unions. San Francisco just won't allow it. We need to get together and find out a way. I mean, if I had the opportunity to address the unions, I would say, though, that domicity is for your workers. They have trouble affording housing in San Francisco, right? And domicity then offers two advantages for them. It's jobs, secure jobs for the next decade or more. And it brings housing, quality housing, within their affordability in neighborhoods. Families don't want to live in high-rise buildings, even if we made it cheap and affordable. So families with children don't want to live on the 20th story of a building and have the children come down on a crowded street of cars. They want to live where other families live, right? And so I'd like to get that message out to the unions.
Okay, Eugene, we have one more question. Thank you for answering that one. Mari, would you please ask your question?
Actually, it's not a question, it's some information. I don't know if you caught this or not, Eugene, but the unions are supporting the state ballot initiative for the very reason that you just gave. They know that for them to be able to live and afford to live, they need to build that kind of housing, and they need to be able to live in that kind of housing. So I believe that your unions, maybe you should talk to them again. It may just be at the politics at City Hall and not really the unions that are saying that, or not all the unions. The steel guys are going to want to build steel, of course.
Yeah.
The concrete contractors are going to want to build concrete, which is heavy and uses a tremendous amount of water. They should stop all that stuff right now if they want to cut back the use of water. Forget we shouldn't take baths. They shouldn't be building this concrete stuff. So
right on.
Essentially, that's a really good argument. Also look into the environmental groups because they're going to be on the same side,
Right on, right on.
Concrete.
Do you have a contact at the union that I could speak to?
I can get back to you. Give me just some, you know, my email, right? Just send me your email.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, just send me your information and I'll try and get somebody to contact you.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. And you say that the unions now have a bill in at Sacramento to build what type of housing, Marmy?
Well, no, I said that unions are supporting the state ballot initiative that we're trying to pass that will essentially cut back on all of these state bills, you know, that are coming at us from Sacramento. The whole point of it is to allow cities the right to build what they want to build, what communities want to live in. So that's really the point of the bill, but the unions are backing it. A lot of unions are backing it.
Wow, that's great news, Mari.
Yeah,
So Eugene, thank you so much for your presentation. We really, and I have a feeling we're, and after I talk to the members that are here, I think we're going to be inviting you back when we have a larger group for you. I think, and your presentation will probably be even better than from the feedback we gave you and more practice. Good night.
Right.
Good night.
good
Okay.
night, Eugene.
All right. Thank you all. Thank you all.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Right.
So, you know, Glenn, we can just take the tape and post it somewhere so people can watch it. He didn't have to come back and give the same presentation again. We can just post it.
Well said. Well said. All that being said, that other people might be able to have other questions that could challenge him on that. But all that being said, his presentation seemed to be much better for me this time. The first time I heard it, I rejected it out of hand. This time I didn't feel that way, especially when he said domesticity could be for teachers, police, nurses, and firemen. That really hit home for me. And what do you think, Mari?
I think it was the merged lots that were bothering people before. There's a combination of weirdnesses going on. One is let's merge the lots so we can build bigger. And then there's this new thing where let's split the lots. So I don't know what people in Sacramento are thinking. They want to merge them one day and split them the next. But either way, it's whatever the developers want to do. If the developers want to merge, oh, let's merge. Oh, today the developers want to split. Oh, let them split too. So it makes absolutely no sense. But I remember he was starting from a standpoint of he was going to merge 2 or 3 lots, something like that. And he backed off on the merge the lots. And I think that's what makes it.
Well,
I don't know. Do you remember that, Al?
No, I think he is merging up to 3 lots, whatever he has available, he will merge.
Right, but
All that I think we've finished this presentation. I want to move on.
Glenn, could I answer that question?
Yes, please.
Can I clarify it, please?
Yes, please.
Okay, Mary, I was only suggesting the merger of 2 lots or 3 lots if the neighborhood felt they wanted a larger space for a community activity like a meeting hall, right, or a local store. That's an option. That's a choice. That extends the kind of choice that you have for building in your community.
Okay, that's what I was taking from you tonight. Thank you.
Can I give one last comment?
Yes, please.
So I would recommend getting a better internet connection. And I think there are 2 numbers you need to think about. There's the download number and there's the upload number. And I think your download number is good, but the upload number, which is how you give us your picture and your audio, I think maybe you're a little weak on that. So you might want to talk to your internet provider about that.
Thank you, Al. There was some problem. Yeah, I experienced a lot of problem at this end.
Yeah, a lot of times the internet providers, they want to give you download because you're watching movies. But now that we're doing these video conferences, you need an upload number that's good as well.
Great. Thank you for that
Sure.
technical help.
Okay,
You may
that-
detect that I'm a senior citizen.
Okay.
Oh, me too. Yeah, I totally get it.
Right.
Okay, that being said,
Okay.
Eugene, we ask you to leave the meeting. We want to make more comments. And some
Yes.
of them are going to be private. Thank you. Have a good
Okay,
and a good
Just be
Thanksgiving.
kind. Right.
Have a
just be
good
kind.
Thanksgiving. We all wish you well. Stay safe.
Right.
Goodbye, Eugene.
I'm trying to, trying to leave the meeting.
Okay, keep going. You're getting better. Just click end meeting for you. Just click end over on the right. The real
You just
red
kick them
button
off.
says end meeting, end.
No, it says leave. There's a big red dot over in the bottom.
right.
That says leave.
Yeah.
Well, whatever size is on his computer.
It's on the right. It should be on the right. He's got a Mac. Let us know when you're gone.
That's okay. It's okay. He's having trouble with it. I gotta leave pretty soon. So what else were we gonna do? Anything? Because I gotta go.
So yeah, there's a tremendous amount of things that have happened, I think, recently. You know, the Capital Planning Commission had an error in their idea about the flexible water system, and their each one of these items cost 1 million each. This system weighs 350 pounds and could be an obstacle for people being able to trying to exit San Francisco during a fire.
What are you talking about?
So I'm talking about the vice president's comment on the Capital Planning Commission meeting.
Vice president of what?
Capital Planning Commission. I'm
So-
the vice president of CSFN.
What's the? So this is vice president is you?
Yes.
Okay.
So the president's not here, so we're talking officers' reports. We're talking.
Okay.
Yeah.
So describe for us what that weight is coming from. I'm confused about the weight issue that you just mentioned and the fact that it can keep people from leaving San Francisco. That doesn't make any, I don't understand that process, what you're talking about. What is it? Is it the water system or is it the?
Yeah. Okay. Right. So you know, during the Capital Planning Commission meeting, they had suggestions of improvement to how to make San Francisco more resilient to fire, and one of those was a flexible water service system, which costs about $1 million each, and they wanted to buy 13 of them. You know, and the deputy fire marshal who retired last year went to Berkeley where one of these systems was present. And he found out that each one of these systems weighed 350 pounds and could not be moved by NERT people, N-E-R-T, you know, the people that are motivated during a catastrophe. But more importantly, I thought, was the fact that once these things get inflated with water, now they become an obstacle for traffic. Traffic can't drive over them because, you know, they're 2 feet high or whatever.
Why don't you do us a favor and put something, not tonight because you don't have it, just put it in the report and link to a picture of it or something, because I'm not quite getting what you're talking about.
Sounds good. Good, and that's a good comment. Thank you. And then, you know, I listened to the Government Audit and Oversight Committee and heard the Park Alliance people getting grilled for behavior with the Park and Rec. Okay, that's the Vice President's report. Correspondence Secretary.
Yeah, nothing to report.
We got the mail, and we have our mailboxes going to be paid for another year in the future. Treasurer, are you still here? Oh, we lost him. Okay.
He's still checking the mail, right? I mean, it's an hour round trip for me to go over there, but I think he's
No, don't. This is not a criticism. It's just something I had to do because I knew it was going to be you know, that if we didn't do it this in November, and by the way, you should remember, if I'm not here or I'm
Yeah.
sick or gone, November, we have to pay our, you know, put it in your calendar,
Okay.
CSFN mailbox, or we're going to lose it. And that's
Okay.
not good. That would-
Actually, I take that back. There is we had a reso that's going out, but I'm so far I haven't had to do anything with it.
okay.
Okay, so can I speak about that?
Yeah.
If you want me to deal with it, I will. All I need to finish it is Charles' signature so I can copy and paste it. And I could not find easily the resolution that was done before. I know there was something done. I thought there was something CSFN did, but I can't remember the month or any of that. So if you can remember what the month was, at least I can go back and find, or just, he's just got to send me a copy of his signature. You know, that's all we need.
So you want me to send an email to Charles reminding him to give you like an image of his signature?
Do you have an image of it?
No, I don't have one. No.
Okay, I can deal with Charles, that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, all that being said, for many, many years, we just, you know, have his name and, you know, and then send it off. Many, many years, you know.
Yeah, I don't know if you really want to. We've had this thing with THD that like we don't really want to send out pictures of the people's signatures. It's just better not to do that.
I think you make a good point. I think just saying Charles Head, you know, president is an excellent.
Yeah.
Well, I hadn't thought of that, but okay, we'll just handle it. I just sent it out to the parks people today, so they have a copy of it. Okay.
Land use and transportation, you got a committee report for us, please, Maury? You're so busy.
Let me finish that one thing because it is transportation. I'll just email it today. You haven't emailed it to anybody yet, right?
Me? No, I so far every time. Let me know if you need anything from me. But so far, what I've heard is I don't really need to do anything.
Okay, then I'll take care of it. Okay, that's all I want to know. Okay, as far as, oh my God, there's too much happening. I was at
Is that
meeting.
not true? Yeah, really.
I was at that same grilling, and I was pretty amazed by how pissed
Park
off
Alliance, the Park
some of the
Alliance.
supervisors got, and how crazy the whole thing is. I went to the the meeting agenda, and you can somehow from the, oh, I know what it is. If you look at that particular line item number and you click on the line item number that's in the agenda for that meeting, you get yourself to a place where you can find all the documents. One of the documents being the presentation, the PowerPoint presentation, which is priceless.
Oh gosh, I think you ought to share it with us, or have it in the.
I should. I have to figure out where to put it.
Yes,
I just realized I have something like 24 different websites and blogs right now. No wonder I'm going crazy. I can't even remember where they all are or what they're all called. So I'm trying to figure that one out. But I gotta say, the thread that's going through all of the issues we're dealing with is the total lack of legal process that any of the street closures have gone through. And pretty much, I don't know about slow streets or any of that, but definitely all the stuff that's involved with the parks. There are two different groups of people. I don't know if there's several different lawsuits that have been filed. They want to file one now on the Great Highway. They're just really irate. The latest thing they did was they put in food trucks. And somebody jokingly said, what is it next, porta potties? And I said, oh yeah, they'll definitely have those on the beach any day now. You know, it's like, let's just make everything look as trashy as we can, you know, along the beach. I don't know what the point is. We had a park, I think. We had a beach. We had a beautiful beach. And now we have a trash heap. I guess that's what they want because there's money in trash. I don't know. But what I find truly amazing and appalling is that when the luxury department stores downtown get raided by people, the horde of shoplifters that came in one night,
Yeah.
they immediately took care of them. And the cops seem to be mostly doing two things: taking care of the Union Square area and making sure the bicyclists are safe to stop traffic on the Great Highway. They actually line up and protect the bicycles when they're illegally stopping traffic on a Thursday. So they're basically, I think they're pushed the public too far at this point, and people are going to retaliate.
Okay, Mari, thank you for your report.
Okay, one
And I
more
think we're-
thing. I know there's
Okay,
only
all right,
three of
thank
us
you.
here now, but we
All right, a
really
little summary,
have
a
to
little
start-
summary
we have to start gathering signatures like really soon.
for
So
Dennis Richards.
I got to get a hold of him.
Don't go away, okay? Yes, and I'm all in on that, and I'm going to do my best, but please don't go away. I have a very important message to make in open space. Everyone else is gone. There's a new Treasure Island video,
Mhm.
and the Treasure Island video. You remember there was a hope. I guess it was about a month ago, Matt Haney and Aaron Peskin, numerous other people were there, and they were talking about the problems with Treasure Island. Well, as you know, Treasure Island is being built full force. All of the cautionary statements that were talked about in that particular meeting have completely been abandoned, as Matt Haney no longer is interested in being a supervisor of his district that covers Treasure Island. He's going state. He wants to be a state official. And in this Treasure Island video, they deeply redacted it and improperly transcribed. Instead of saying radioactive, they said radioactivity. So that if you were to click in radioactivity, you couldn't find that information in this video because they separated with a space. This is terrible stuff. And then, supposedly at this particular, I think I'm going to send it to you. It's so important for you to have, Mark. 5 burning sites, and that 5 burning sites had radioactivity, mustard gas, arsenic, VX, sarin, and these 5 sites, there should be no development occurring, or no human contact 200 feet next to them. With 5 of them, that's a large area.
Are you saying those substances are there now, or they were burnt there?
They were burned there,
Okay.
and including radioactivity. And even recently, I think last month, they were talking about the problems of burn sites, in Iraq. How dangerous that was for our soldiers, and how they're coming back terribly sick. And lastly, so the PG&E is being bought out by SFPUC.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, really, that's big news, right?
When did that happen?
Well, they're working on it, and I can send you the information that I have on it. That being said, they're planning on having a electrical line come up Brotherhood Way and joining Alamany, just as right underneath a 3-foot diameter natural gas line. Huh? And to make it matters worse, they're planning on having Ocean View Library there.
I don't know. I mean, you kind of wonder sometimes who ate the acid and never came back from the trip because
Just how many people in the supervisor's office have had acid? That's a good
I
question.
don't think this is supervisors. I think it starts with the engineers that are completely, bought out and crooked. But I mean, I know a few engineers and I know a little bit about, soil and all that kind of good stuff. And the thing that they also came out with today, I don't even know where it was. Eileen put something out, but basically there are all these photographs of buildings sinking, or, they're taking these pictures from space. They've got all these buildings sinking, like they've got a map of all the buildings in San Francisco that are sinking.
Right.
While of course sea rise is coming up. But what I would like to see, and I've only maybe seen it once, is all of the mapping. I want to see the side view that shows all of those studs and all of those foundations going down. Because when you have a foundation that is holding up a 30-story building, what goes beneath the ground to anchor it has to be close to 30 stories.
Right. But that's another topic. That's another topic that in order to complete this Treasure Island report, I wanted to mention that this particular group mentioned that at this point in time, they believe that only the California Department of Public Health could shut down Treasure Island immediately.
Good luck.
And that being said, their position was building on a radioactive dump site is not allowed, period.
But they're doing it anyway.
Yeah. And because they have, that, and then they mentioned, forgive me for saying this, they had people going to Nancy Pelosi's office talking about the problem of Hunter's Point and the information of doctored test and false testimony. She wouldn't meet him.
There's a guy who came to the meeting, the 2550 Irving meeting.
Yes.
His name is Lenny. I can't find his last name right now. I believe it's Lenny. He's a former mayor of Mountain View. He specializes in toxic issues. All they have is like, dry cleaning on Irving, but that's concerning enough. But he works for some group, and there's a whole bunch of different groups of people that are supposed to be following these toxic things. I'll try and send you something about that if you're interested. He is really,
Absolutely.
really good. Well,
that being said, I want to send you this Zoom meeting regarding Treasure Island, about their complaint about the meeting with Matt Haney and when he all of a sudden bailed and decided to become a California politician instead of the supervisor for next election.
Well, the good news is we have 3 Yimbys running against 1 non-Yimby. Campos is not the Yimby. There's 3 guys, Haney, what's her name, the woman, and this other guy who I got his email asking me for support today. And they're all Yimbys. So it's real easy. We can hopefully get Campos in there to replace David, and maybe he'll listen to us. He claims he does, and he definitely helped us when he was our supervisor.
Are you saying, is it Laura Foote by any chance?
No. It's SS. What's her name? Something that starts with an S. Yeah. She's like a non-entity that's on the school board that runs all the time and never wins.
I know. Thea Selby.
Yes, Selby. Yes.
No. Let me tell you about Thea Selby. Remember Heminger?
Yes.
The guy who
Did she date him?
let me finish. This guy, what did he do? He did so many things wrong, So he did credit swaps and took the money for the bridge affairs and invested it in a risky scenario. Money lost. The money lost, and the solution to the money lost, raise the bridge tolls. And
Yeah, really.
and this guy didn't go to jail. I can't believe it. And then make matters worse, he would go to Europe and talk about with his family and talk about and as educational opportunity
Right,
to learn
right,
about
yeah.
how Europe, who is so much better than we are, in
Yeah.
transportation. Okay, so she was endorsing him as I was telling the the board, that group of supervisors that this guy was a crook. So I can't say that Thea Selby is a person to endorse.
No, well, it's basically, you've got Haney versus Campos. And at least I know most of the people I know are back in Campos, so I don't know.
I think
just hope.
Campos would be a better bet than Thea Selby. She's tainted from the beginning.
Yeah,
So, you
well,
guys-
he,
So yeah, I
ahead,
mean,
Al.
on this
Go ahead,
topic, THD, we're gonna try to sponsor an online debate, and I think I mentioned this before. If you have any suggestions on a good moderator, send me an
George
email.
is a good moderator.
you asked that already, but yeah, I will think about
I know.
that because we didn't really do a debate. We had them on, and well, I'm going to say Latin Democratic Club had them on and interviewed each one separately. And God, some of the stuff Haney's writing, he wrote a Twitter today that made absolutely no sense at all. I don't know, he's supposedly an attorney. Yeah, let me think about that. I think
Thanks, yeah.
So let me make the suggestion of George Wooding. First of all, only one of the reasons is because he is he's a little Republican. And that being said, that he is able to have people from the other aisle be willing to join and have him be a moderator. And he never loses his composure. It's always quite
George Wooding.
Quite fair.
Did you say George Wooding?
Yes.
Okay. No, I just want to make sure I got it down right. Yeah. Okay.
Mari may
If he
disagree with me, but
when is it going to be? That would be the question.
I'm sorry.
When is the debate about? Do you know? Have you got it?
No, well, we're
scheduled?
gonna hold on. We're gonna hold off on announcing it until the filing deadline. And then we'll set it up. It'll probably be shortly after that. We want to, we got to make sure that we treat everybody fairly. So we don't want to do anything, before.
Only 3 of them showed up. One guy didn't even show up, and he didn't answer the questions. They sent him questions they sent them all the same questions ahead of time. I was actually there when they were coming up with the questions. The other guy, Mahmood or whatever his name is, he didn't even show up, and he didn't answer the question.
I think it's
Other 3 did.
it's early. It's
That being
early
said-
right now.
That being said, London Breed never showed up to any of the
Debates.
discussions I went to when she won the election. It doesn't matter if you show up.
Yeah, when
Sometimes-
I was a long time ago, when I was working at Google, they had a mayor's debate, right? And everybody showed up except Ed Lee.
See what I'm telling you? I'm telling you,
Yeah.
that's exactly it. All right, you guys.
Yeah,
I think,
well-
what do you think? I think we had a great meeting, even though it wasn't well attended. What do you think?
Yeah. There's a lot of great
fine.
ideas.
I just wonder what we're going to do between now and I guess somebody's going to have another meeting to figure out how they're going to sell this stuff for December, or what's going to happen in December, because I assume Charles is going to do something. I don't know. We haven't really done anything, have we?
Okay, so we're going to have a party in December. I would, after your question now, I would recommend maybe we have 5 10 minutes of a business meeting before the party begins? Or maybe after the party begins? No, I think it'd be better before the party begins and maybe.
Oh, no, no, we don't want to have it during the party. It's got to be a separate meeting. It's got
Oh,
to
do you
be.
think?
Charles has got to pull together something around the first of the month. I'm thinking that my time is usually the first, what is it, Wednesday of the month? So maybe we could do the first Wednesday of the month. And we could just turn that into the meeting about that particular issue. I'm not going to do any more town halls for a while.
That being said, I think your land use and transportation meeting in December is going to be the most significant meeting we have until January. Okay? I'll
Well,
try to be
I,
there.
I,
Okay, I'll try
I
to be
don't
there.
know I don't know what to have it on. I haven't got a speaker. I don't think anybody's going to want to come to it. I think we just ought to do those. We ought to have like a second XCOM where we only do business, and then we have, you know, the party or whatever, and then we're done for the year. So we come
We can
back in
have
January.
We can have a second XCOM, but you know, this whole thing about Treasure Island, you know, how Haney is washed his hand of all the promises that he made, you know, is going to be running for state office. You know, they're going to build on Treasure Island, you know, and the fact that you know, nuclear dump sites are in proper places to build on, you know. Not to mention the fact that it's going to be underwater when the Greenland ice sheet melts and the ocean raises 20 feet.
I think it's going to sink before that happens, but I get a question for Al. Do you have, or both of you, does anybody have any intention of doing anything about the recalls? Because I'm avoiding the whole issue myself. I'm really sick of the recall concept.
No, you mean the CSFN or the school board? Well,
Both of them. I'm tired of both of them now, especially since this really, there was this really weird thing that came up on Twitter. That was supposedly, it's like people are doing commercials that are anti-commercials to make the other side look bad, I think, because this one makes them look really dumb. And I can't
we did a webinar with CSFN and the SFPD chief Scott, and that was like maybe 2 months ago. But that's
How did that go? Do you have a videotape of that?
Yeah, it's on YouTube. If you want, I'll email you the link.
Yeah, send me
Please do that.
that.
That being said, you know, Mari, you know, you take care of land use and transportation. Let George take care of government in elections. You don't
I
have to
will.
worry
I was
about
just
that.
curious
Okay?
if anybody had any, the answer is no, nobody's paying attention to the recall.
Well, that's because George is not here. Okay.
No, in your own neighborhood,
I see. Okay.
are you taking anything about the recall? My neighborhood, of course, they're on one side that I'm not going to even deal with. They like Chesa, and I don't know what they feel about the teachers, but I'm not going to deal with that. So I'm staying out of the whole thing.
Yeah, as president of THD, I've got an email, and we just think it's outside of our purview, you know.
Yeah, I think that's how I feel about it. Yeah. So that seems how I'm not going to split the neighborhood up over something like that.
All right, everybody. Forgive me. I'm thinking, and I know you said that you wanted to go, you wanted to leave, Mari. This is your opportunity to bail. Meeting over.
Are we adjourned? Okay, I'm going to bail too.
Hey, thanks
guys.
Thanks for being here, Al. Really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, that was a great presentation. Yeah.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Thanks. See you next time.
Okay, bye now.
Bye-bye.